This is good news for all people of the 50 American states of the United States of America. You are about to witness a great and beautiful change in our nation. You are about to see what a good and faithful servant of the people does. Metaphorically, a good apple. Before I show you the video, please let me say this so you will have background knowledge. Our Constitution's Trust Indenture Compact Contract is where the people wrote what exact powers we grant our servants. That is where we, the people, wrote what powers, authority, rights we reserve except out of the general powers we grant the government. We reserve them to ourselves, and that is why they must not be touched, must not be alienated from us, must not be infringed, must not be encroached, must not be trespassed, must not be interfered with, must not be hidden from the people. See, we granted government a very few and limited number of powers to allow them to get the job done on our behalf and for our benefit. We kept all the rest of our powers and authority, our rights. Just like the treasurer, we gave them the very few items, very few powers, and said, with this, get the job done. And the rest of our powers and authority and rights, we kept to ourselves. We reserved them. We kept them away from the government. We told them, do not touch them. We told them in writing that they are accepted out. That means they're reserved. They are reserved. We said that. We wrote that. It's clear. We told them not to touch those, mess around with those rights. And furthermore, they're to protect our rights that we reserved and not misuse the limited few grants of power that we allowed them to use on our behalf. Do not abuse those powers and misuse them. That's the way it is. So you see, servants may not trespass our rights themselves or through others. And I know I keep putting this little robot, these robots here, these images, because there's a reason for it. I need you to understand that our government servants are not our leaders. They're not our rulers. They're not our bosses, our captains. They don't get to command us and tell us what to do or what not to do. That is off limits. That is not authorized. And just like a robot, the robot too must obey commands. The robot too must comply. And the main directive, do not hurt humans, has to be obeyed. If they become corrupted, if their motherboard is damaged, something goes wrong, and they begin to harm the people, the humans, and are of danger to the humans, they have to be shut down and removed from those functions so they are no longer a danger. And in the same exact way, our government servants, if they become a danger to the people, if we can see that they are about to harm us and we don't have to wait for them to harm us, that would be ridiculous. If they are about to harm us and we can see it, we reserve that right to remove them from office by maladministration. They are inadequate. They cannot function there for us and do their jobs well. If, for example, they do not even read what it is they swore to protect. They have no clue what it is they have to protect. They have no clue that they are to remain open and accountable and responsive to the people. They don't know this. They're inadequate. And that is grounds for maladministration and removal from their seats of office. Our seats of office must be respected. It's a serious position. All those positions we have out there, they're very serious. They're to be taken seriously, respected, and they are to comply. And just like our servants cannot harm us, themselves, or through others, they cannot. And you have to know all these words. These are in our constitutions: trespass, encroach, infringe, all those. They cannot do that to us themselves, and they cannot contract with other, and create corporations and create and charter businesses and allow them to trespass against our constitutionally guaranteed rights. They can't do that. They can't sit idle and pretend they do not have anything that they can do. They don't know what they can do. They chartered them. They can uncharter them. That means servants may not contract or allow others to do it. Well, they pretend to have no obligation and duty to defend and protect our rights because that is first. It is paramount. It is priority. It is first on the list of duties and obligations to the people. Remember, we the people created government to defend and protect our individual rights at all times. They are to benefit us in all they do at all times. They are to do our will only and not their will. Let's look at a contract term they swore to in our Constitution's Trust and Indenture Compact. Let's look at a term so we can become familiar. And when we are familiar with what they swore to in that contract, compact, trust and indenture, constitutions, if we're aware, then we can recognize immediately if they're outside the line, if they're outside the law, and we can correct them. We can instruct them, correct them, and stop shenanigans. Okay, here. Remember, all Bill of Rights, Declarations of Rights, all of them from all 50 states, old ones, new ones, because they can never take away our rights or diminish them or reduce them or break them to pieces in any way or erase some of them. They can't do that. They're not permitted, authorized to do that. So that's the reason why you can even look at the old ones. You can look at the new ones. And we are guaranteed to have equal rights and equal protection under the laws. And these terms in the constitutions, that's real law. That is real, true law. Not what they call laws. Those are just government corporate statutes. They're government corporate bylaws. And they call them laws for short to avoid saying government corporate bylaws. Government corporate bylaws. They call them laws. They give them other names too, like statutes. And then when they charter a company and that company creates little rules, internal rules, they're called policies. And those policies are not meant for the people ever. Ever. Policies are for those employees only. So when they say, well, I have a policy and the policy says that when you come in here, you have to wear a tutu and you have to shave your head, because we don't allow people with hair in here. Well, no. Policies are not for the people, buddy. Buddy boy. And now if that chartered, licensed business, corporation wants to infringe on your rights and they insist on it, you have a way to correct them now. You have a way to correct them, and you can learn with us. Learn how to do it correctly, okay? Because that is no longer going to be the thing of the day, the thing that happens to the people anymore. That's it. It's over, because now we know the true law. And you're going to learn it too. Now this is true law. And let me read it, okay? You'll find it right here at Ballotpedia. You can look at this. just type in Ballotpedia, right? You go New Hampshire State Constitution, and then you can put either / you can put Ballotpedia, and then it'll bring you to this. You can just click on if this is a Bill of Right or a Declaration of Right. You click on that, and then it'll give you all this. Now go to text of Article 38, and then you'll read this. And this right here, not this, but this right here, that's the term of the contract. And let me read it. And I underlined it because I need you to really pay attention to those words that are underlined. Excuse me, I have a really bad cough that just never wants to go away. All right, here it is. A frequent recurrence to fundamental principles of the Constitution and a constant adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, industry, frugality, and all the social virtues are indispensably necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty and good government. The people ought, therefore, to have particular regard to all those principles in the choice of their officers and representatives, and they have a right to require of their lawgivers and magistrates an exact and constant observance of them in the formation and execution of the laws necessary for the good administration of government. And now let's take a really close look at this. There are the fundamental principles in the constitutions. Those are fundamental principles, and you're going to get to learn if you come join our groups and listen to the videos that are all over the place available for you to listen to. You will learn what other principles are the fundamental principles of this government that they must obey. And it says here that they have to have a constant adherence to justice. It has to be constant. There cannot be a break between when, okay, let's see, there's a little bit of justice here, but not justice there. A little bit here, but not there. No. A constant adherence to justice. Moderation, because they can't go overboard with the things they're doing. They have to be specific and careful just to carry out the tasks we told them to, right? They have to have temperance, industry, right? They need to not be lazy. Frugality, in other words, they need to be careful with our money. It's not their money. When we put money, they take our taxes. That's not their money. It's not their money. It's our money. Our money that is to be used for specific, written, authorized purposes. And all this, it continues here, and all the social virtues. Yes, there are social virtues, the get along things, the love the neighbor as yourself. Because loving the neighbor as yourself means that you don't want to do any harm to your neighbor. You don't want to rob them. You don't want to be a false witness to them. You don't want to steal their things and kidnap their kids. You don't want to do that. You have to have social virtues. Be nice, everybody. Get along, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. And they are indispensably necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty, because all of us, by God, are free and independent. And we have liberty, we have freedoms, and no one is authorized to harm us and take away or break away parts of our liberties, our freedoms. They can't do that. No one is authorized to do that. You are free to live in full pursuance of your happiness, except you can't hurt anyone. That's it. Just live your life and don't hurt anyone. That's the people. We are free to do as we wish, except we can't harm others. The government servants, on the other hand, they're not free to do what they want. They must only do what we hired them to do, exactly what is written. And not made up in their minds, hey, I think we could do this. I want to do that. It would be a good idea to do this and that. No, that is going outside the law. That is an attack on our constitutions. You can't do that. That's why they're Constitutions are there for the government workers to obey them, to comply with them, not to just make up their things in their head, do what they want. No, 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 no. So we keep these in mind when we elect officers and representatives, right? They have a right to require. We have a right to require that lawgivers, the ones that write legislation, for government personnel to do the tasks we hired them to do. Remember, the only ones that can write law, real law, are the people. The workers, the servants, may not write law. They write government, corporate bylaws. Those are the things that the government servants must follow to get the jobs done. I cannot emphasize that enough. Because there is an epidemic, pretty much, of the government servants, and especially, particularly, bar members, applying legislation, statutes, and codes and policies to the people. And that is an attack on the people. They may not know that that's an attack on the people. They may say that they weren't aware of what real law is. The bar members may say they didn't know the law, and that's why they did it. Well, gee, they seek to monopolize being the only ones that can talk about law, but they stay using statutes and codes and policies that are meant for government personnel, and the people are not government personnel. They keep not quite catching that concept. They don't catch that concept. The people are not government personnel. Those policies, the statutes, they're not written to govern the people, to rule the people, to tell the people what to do and what not to do. That is not what we authorized. We authorized the lawgivers writing these things so that, for example, judges would know what to do in the courtroom, how to set up and all this. Things like that, the time to come into work, the time to end work, that sort of thing. It's for them to know what to do, how to carry out the jobs they were hired to do. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And the people have been abused by statutes, codes, and policies. They were not authorized to use them against the people. Remember that. This is true law. This is true law. Here's another term of the contract. This is New Hampshire State Constitution, Part 1st, and you look under text of Article 8, Accountability of Magistrates and Officers, Public Right to Know. And excuse me for I'm getting like laryngitis or something where I lose my voice. And I can't stop coughing 24/7. That's okay. Here I am, moving forward with whatever I've got. For you, for us, for our freedoms, for our liberty, for our safety, for our happiness, for your loved ones, for my loved ones. So they don't boss us around, so they don't abuse us, and they don't step all over us and crush us. Okay, now let me read the term of of the contract. It says, all power residing originally in and being derived from the people, all the magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents, and at all times accountable to them. To who? To the people. They're accountable to us for their conduct. See? Because we have all the power. If we have all the power, what power do they have? Only what we granted. And if they want you to believe that it's whatever it is they want to do, and that they don't really have to listen to anything in writing, but that's not true. They took the oath of office. You know that there's an oath of office. And what are they swearing in that oath of office? What is it exactly that they're swearing? To support, to defend, to protect. What is it? It's the terms in the contract. It's the terms in the trust indenture. It's the terms in the compact. It is this right here. all power residing originally in and being derived from the people, all magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents and at all times accountable to them. Government, therefore, should be open, accessible, accountable, and responsive. Yes, responsive. They cannot ignore us. Bar members have no right to tell our servants to not be responsive to us. If our government servants listen to those bar members, thinking that that is the law, that is not going to protect them when we take them and hold them accountable lawfully. Because they themselves are the ones that took the oath of office. They are the ones in the seat of office that belong to us. They're the ones responsible. They're the ones hold on, I'm recording. Family. Okay, here we go. Continuing. All power residing originally in and being derived from the people, all the magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents and at all times accountable to them. So government, therefore, should be open, accessible, accountable, and responsive. To that end, the public's right to access the government proceedings and records shall not be unreasonably restricted. The public also has a right to an orderly, lawful, and accountable government. And it continues. So you can read the rest on your own. So I underline an orderly and box lawful, accountable government. This is what you are. You have a right to this. It has to be orderly. It can't be chaotic. It can't be unlawful. It has to be lawful and it has to be accountable. See, they have things they must comply with. They can't just do whatever they want. You elect them and there they go, off to get riches that they're not supposed to be getting while working for our benefit. They're supposed to be working for our benefit. We're supposed to get all sorts of good things coming from our government to our pockets because they're there to benefit us. And anything acquired by the servants is acquired by the masters. We are the masters. They're not there to enrich themselves. That is not how it was set up. No, they are to benefit us. We get rich. So, you can read the rest of it and understand that this is true law and this is where you can find it. Of course, you can also find it in the legislatures of each state. They are required, to have it accessible to you. But many times they're not accessible. They're not easy to find, easy to locate. And that should not be the case. It should be so easy, not only to locate them and then download them so that you can really study them and mark them and figure out each word and put your little notes. It can't be like, in little section here, and if you click that button over there, you may get another little section there. It's all difficult. It should not be difficult for the people. Now here, please keep this truth in mind. The people are the protectors of the trust indenture, contract, compact, constitutions. We are the trust protectors. We protect it because we are the creators and we are the people. And as the people, we make sure that government servants are complying with everything. They're not the ultimate say. They're not the bosses. Remember this. So when our government fails to protect it, be it because they don't want to or because they do not know that they must protect it, the result is the same. Harm to the people. So we, the people, step in lawfully and use our authority and power to alter, reform, modify, change, or abolish any part or all parts of our constitutions or government that is not to our benefit. Anything that is too vague, too secret, too unaccountable, some things that are just not done according to our will and to our benefit, we can end it. We can end that lawfully, by right. They already agreed to this. They already agreed to the terms, all of them. They can't pick and choose which ones they want, which ones they do not want. It's too late. They're in the seat of office. They have been paid to comply. And there are steep penalties. Remember, there are steep penalties for unfaithful servants. The only thing we do not change is that our form of government be Republican in form, where the people remain ultimate in power and authority and benefit. Remember, it has nothing to do with the Democratic Party, nothing to do with the Republican Party, nothing to do with the Independent Party. It has nothing to do with the parties, the little fiesta boys and girls. It has nothing to do with the parties. It is the kind of government. There's some monarchies out there. There's some, whatever the different types of forms of government that nations have in those separate nations. Ours is a Republican form, which means the people are the ultimate power. There is no king over the people. There's no ruler over the people. There is no tyrant over the people. There are no, should not be any unfaithful servants over the people. Remember, the servants, when in the world, and what movie did you see where the servant is over the master? The servant holding the feathered duster, dusting and everything, and washing dishes and opening the door, the butler opening the door. When did the servants, how are they the masters? How? When did you ever see that? It's upside down. We have been taught upside down, and we've been taught to just ignore our mind and our thinking. It doesn't make sense, and then we just move on. No, servants are to serve. They are the ones with the aprons. They are the ones with the little feather duster. They are there to perform duties and obligations on our behalf, the master's behalf, to benefit the master, to keep the house clean, that kind of thing. You see what I'm saying, right? So you can understand their position is low. Their position is so low that they are an actual indentured servant. They're right next to being a slave because they must comply and they must do everything according to what is written and nothing outside of the writing. You have to understand that. You have seen many spread the lie that a democracy is what we have and what we want. No. A democracy is where the people elect a ruler, aka a king, like man or woman, to govern and command the people. Why would we want that? Of course, just think about it. That's why it is being sold to us, that idea. Our democracy. Oh, let's do this for our democracy's sake. Oh, they just love selling it to us in movies, in the news. Even our favorite news anchors like Tucker Carlson has made the very, very big faux pas, the very big mistake, and said, our democracy, how is that good for our democracy? Well, gosh darn it, he went to a very exclusive school, high education, and they couldn't tell him that it is guaranteed in the contract that we are to have a Republican form of government in every single state, excepting none. That's the form of government we are to have. Why? Because then we, the people, continue, and it's clear that we are the bosses, we are the masters, we are the head honchos. That is why they sell you the idea that, the democracy. Of course they want you to buy into that poison apple, that lie. Okay? This is we would give up all our powers and authority, and then we'd have to hope that that ruler will have mercy and pity and not harm us. How foolish is that? When we're the bosses and can fix everything whenever we deem it necessary. And all we have to do is assemble together, consult together. And assemble doesn't mean that you have to go to some rally. It doesn't mean that you have to go to some location and meet there physically. We can meet online as we are doing right now. People from every state, we're meeting online and we're assembling together and consulting for our good. By right, guaranteed in our constitutions. And they cannot interfere with that. They cannot stop that. They cannot stop that. And another thing, freedom of speech. Don't go to the United States, aka that District of Columbia, for that right, for any of our rights. They're in the state constitutions, and that is where you go to assert your right, to show, look, it's in writing, it's right here. I have freedom of speech. Guaranteed that nothing can infringe with that. Nothing can harm that. Nothing can interfere with that. Freedom of speech. It's yours already. And no legislation must be written to grant us that. No. Legislation, they never grant us anything. They cannot grant us anything. We're the ones that do the granting. We're the ones that own everything. Remember us, the all-powered people? Remember that? All the power is inherent in the people, not in government. All means all of it, 100%. There's nothing left for them. They're miserable. We just grant them something so they can have something in their hands to be able to use, to be able to function and do our will. That's the fact. That's the fact. The people are creators of government, and we wrote that we are to benefit as the beneficiaries. It's there. It's in the contract. You have to read it. See, we are to benefit as the beneficiaries of our Constitution's contract, compact, and trust indenture. So when we relax and voluntarily enter into the society, we are called citizens, right? Or they like to call us the public. Because, oh my gosh, they would really like us to think that we're in the public realm, but we're not, because we never stop being one of the people, the creators, the all-powerful. We never stop that. And so we are always, wherever we are in the private. If we use public transportation system, a bus, a train, an airplane, whatever it is, we ourselves, the human, we're in the private. We're using a public transportation system, but that doesn't make us be in the realm of the public. So don't get it confused, because there's a public realm and a private realm, and they do like to use the word, the public, in reference to us. But all that, you know how words have more than one meaning. So it just means that that as the public, they're the citizens, the whole, and I'll read you the definition so you can understand a little bit better. Okay, remember, at any time and over like a yo-yo, we have the power, authority, and right to enter or exit that society as we see fit to do for our benefit. It is voluntary. We can go in, then go out, then go in, then go out, and we can use part of the benefits, and then we say, I'm sick of that part. I'm not going to participate in that part, and then go out, and then go in. Let me see. I'm going to go here to the library and use that. And then I'm done with that nonsense. I'm going to go out. You could do it, because whatever benefits you the most, that you have a right to do, because they only exist to benefit us. They only exist to benefit us. Their existence, their purpose in being there is to benefit us, to make us have a happier life. Our individual rights is what they must protect, because someone is happy one way, someone is happy a different way. So everyone has individual rights, and each one has their own way of being happy, and they have to make sure they don't interfere with that. So let me read to you the definition for public in Black's Law 5th. This is Black's Law 5th edition, and this is what it says. Public, it's a noun. It says the whole body politic. Because we are a body politic, when we are inside enjoying the benefits and being the beneficiaries and being called citizens. We're enjoying all that we created. It's like we create a fiesta. We create a party, and we are the creators. We paid for everything. We assembled everything. We got everything set up. And now we're going to go in and be the party people. We're going to party now. We're going to enjoy the party, and they're going to serve us. They're going to serve us our drinks. They're going to serve, the food bring it to the table, clean up our table. Oh, excuse me, more champagne, please. We are to benefit in that party. That's the body politic. And then you get sick of that party for a while. You want to go home. It's getting a headache. That's okay. Get out of there. It's your voluntary. It's yours. Go in and out as you want to. This is to benefit you. You want to go and relax out there. They can't force you to stay in that party. They can't close the door and say you can't leave. No, you cannot leave. You got to stay in this party. Enjoy the punch. No, I feel like going out and getting fresh air, so I'm going out. You get out of the way. Maladministration. If they still insist, and it's treason. And that is very ugly, an ugly penalty. They better not wish for that. So, public means in the whole body politic, or the aggregate of the citizens of a state, a nation, or a municipality. See, the aggregate of citizens. See, because remember, you can be a citizen if you want to, and then you can get out and just be one of the people, because you never stop being one of the people. Okay, and I highlighted this one too. The inhabitants of a state, county, or community. They're the inhabitants. That's the public. All right? The public is also, in one sense, everybody. And according to the body of the people at large. The community at large, without reference to the geographical limits of any corporation, like a city, a town, or county. You see that? Those are corporations, and there's no limit. You're still the public when you're the citizens, and you're still one of the people with all power. And you can remove them, alter, reform. You can dissolve their seats of office, because if they get out of line, and all you have to do is serve proper notice that they're not following our constitutions, the terms of the contract, they are in trouble. They better correct themselves immediately. Repent. Okay, nor most of the people, says here. Oh, here. So, and then says the people. And now here, this is a second way of looking at the word public. It says, in another sense, see? In another sense, the word does not mean all the people. Oh my gosh, here, it does not mean all the people. And up here it says it means all the people. Everybody. Also, okay, public, everybody. But over here, in a different sense, no, the word does not mean all the people. Isn't this all peculiar? Let's continue reading. Nor most of the people, nor very many of the people of a place, but so many of them as distinguishes them from a few. Accordingly, it has been defined or employed as meaning the inhabitants of a particular place, the inhabitants of a particular place. It says all the inhabitants of a particular place. It says all the inhabitants. Hey, are they repeating it? Let me read it again, because I think I'm repeating this. Accordingly, it has been defined or employed as meaning the inhabitants of a particular place. All the inhabitants of a particular place. A people of the neighborhood. Also, a part of the inhabitants of a community. All right. So in one sense, it means everybody. In another sense, it means not everybody. And why is that? Because remember, the public, they like to kind of give it so many meanings, because then they can pick and choose which meaning they're applying. You think they're applying it one way, but they're applying it another way. And of course, if they are corrupted and their motherboard is corrupted and their programming is off kilt, their cattywampusy. If they're a government servant with their own will, wishing and desiring to accomplish their own will and benefit, and not the people's will and benefit, they will use meanings, words, to benefit them. Apply it in a way that benefits them to achieve their goal and benefit themselves. And that is terrible. That should not happen. That's maladministration. So just know that the public, it could be in there. It doesn't mean that you are in the public realm yourself. You're walking through amongst the public. Like say the government workers, they're in the public realm, existing in the public realm, but you're existing in the private realm as you pass through and get your private affairs done. Even if you go to a supermarket that's in the public, you are still in the private, going through and using those goodies like the market, being able to buy something for your family. You're still doing that, but you're not an employee of that market. You're not that type of public. So in a way, so see how it can mean all sorts of things. Man, it's just insane. So the people, for example, they're you can be called public, but if you have your inherent rights, you have your individual rights, and you are the beneficiary, and you have to be protected, and then you have the power to alter, abolish, modify, change any and all part of the government, because if it malfunctions, you can fix it. It's yours. It is yours. Why wouldn't you be able to fix something that is yours if it's not working properly? Of course you can do it. So this is the convoluted meaning of public. Okay, this is Black's Law 5th edition. Oh, those people. Okay, now let's look at an exemplary servant doing what a good and faithful servant does. You're going to love this. Now this is the kind of servant we want to have working for us. One that understands what the ultimate law is, one that understands what their primary function is, their primary duty and obligation is. And here we go.
Jen, will you stand up?
Okay. Here we go.
I recognize Representative Cushman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for recognizing me. Thank you, fellow legislators. Everyone in this chamber swore an oath to uphold the New Hampshire State Constitution. In Part 1, the people reserve for themselves certain rights that government shall make no laws to violate. All laws repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. We've all heard that. The Supreme Court recently has said that the historical analysis method is to be used to determine the intent of the law or the Constitution. This means that with the usages and customs of the time the law or Constitution was written determines how that law applies today. Part 1, Article 2 of the New Hampshire State Constitution says, the people have a right to give instructions to their representatives. Webster's Dictionary of the American English Language of 1828 defines instruct as to give notice and also to impart knowledge or educate, and also to direct or command to furnish with orders. Article 38 of Part 1 says, quote, the people, they have a right to require of their lawgivers and magistrate an exact and constant observance of the fundamental principles of the Constitution. Article 8 of Part 1 says, all power residing originally in and being derived from the people, all the magistrates and officers of government are their substitutes and agents, and at all times accountable to them. Some have said that, well, being accountable means every 2 years the people have an election and they vote on us and expect us to hold our campaign promises, hold to them. I don't find that concept anywhere in writing in the Constitution or the actual law. And I don't see how that squares with Part 1, Article 8, that says agents are accountable at all times. nor Part 1, Article 38 that says exact and constant. In reality, the people have the right to instruct us as their agents when it comes to protecting their constitutional rights. That's our primary job. They have the right to provide us notice of a violation of their rights that we swore to protect, and to instruct us in remedying those violations, insofar as it's within our authority that they granted to us in the Constitution, in Part 2. They can't tell us to stand on our heads, but they can provide us notice that a state agency is violating rights and is in need of correction. They can instruct us to take action to rectify the situation with the powers that we have been given by them. The people have a right to constant observance of the law by their magistrates, and when constitutional rights are violated, we magistrates have a duty under our oath to assist and make it right. If we ignore pleas for help and continue to let people's rights be violated, if later they do take it to court and it's found their rights were violated and we knew and did nothing, we were given notice and said, I don't have to do what you say, and didn't give any evidence to that fact. If we can't show that we don't have to, then we become culpable. We violated our oath, and now we're a part of denying the people their rights. We were derelict in our duty, and that is maladministration, and with notice, it can rise to the level of malice. We can be held accountable, and notices have been used in court to prove that a defendant has no plausible deniability. So let's get back to the basics of our true purpose here in this body, the securing of the constitutional inalienable rights of the people. Thank you.
Representative Osmond moves the House stand in recess for the purpose. For what reason does the member rise?
I'd like to request that the previous remarks be put in the permanent journal.
Without objection. For what reason does the member rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the remarks of our colleague from Nashua also be placed in the permanent journal.
Without objection. Representative Zondra moves the House stand in recess for the purpose of receiving messages, after which business is concluded and the House shall stand adjourned from the 2023 session. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The House stand adjourned from the 2023 session.
And you can see the entire video. You can see the entire video here in the House session. Let me rewind it. House session dated 10/26/23. This is New Hampshire House of Representatives Committee streaming. So you can find it there. Here's the link, youtube.com. Watch. You can write these things down. And just look at this and see it's at the end right here. This is the part that I encourage you to look at again and just really pay close attention. Leah Cushman is an exemplary government servant. She is understanding very well her role and our position over her. We are the masters. She is the servant. She is there. Her primary purpose is to protect our individual rights, to do everything to get it all corrected if someone is infringing on our rights, especially those corporations that are chartered by legislation. If they're licensed to work in the United States of America, they have to obtain a license. They have to abide. They have to be in pursuance of our constitutions. They are not free to harm the people because the legislature, our government servants in all three branches do not have that authority to infringe on our rights. So most certainly, lesser creatures under them do not have the right to infringe on our constitutional rights. So let me show you one more thing. Okay, it's noteworthy to say this, okay? This has been entered into the record. These are worth highlighting for those that cannot hear very well. This is what some of the main things that are really important that Leah Cushman mentioned during her speech. And remember, all those House representatives, they heard her say what she said. They have to look into it. If they disagree, they have to look into it and find out, oh, constitutionally, is this correct or is this not correct? They have to look into it. They cannot just be slothful and inadequate to do their job diligently. They have to do it diligently, and they have to look into it to see that if this is correct, because this is a serious thing that Leah Cushman has told them, that the primary job of all of them is to protect our individual rights. They have to protect our rights, our constitutional rights. So if they ignore that and they continue to harm our rights, if they continue to allow corporations that they have licensed, and they must control, and they do control, because they can unlicense them, they can remove their charter, end it. If they are attacking the people's rights, because the people are priority, the people are the masters, they are the beneficiaries, we are the ones they are to benefit, and it doesn't benefit if they allow creatures they have chartered to continue infringing on our rights. Okay, this is what she said, and I'm going to quote. All of these in this little white bands here are the things that really stood out to me. They're beautiful things she said, and they're very true. Like this one, for example, and I quote, "In reality, that people have the right to instruct us as their agents when it comes to protecting their constitutional rights. That's our primary job." And that's correct. End quote. That is correct. That's correct. What she said right there. That's our primary job. It's theirs, the servants. That's their primary job, she says, to protect the constitutional rights. This is true. And you need to know that that's true. You need to know that's true, because we're going to live beautiful lives now with true law not being ignored, not being hidden away. And in its place, legislation, statutes that have nothing to do with the people, policies that have nothing to do with the people, they're for employees. We're not government employees. Now, here's another thing she said that was really nice. In part 2, they can't tell us to stand on our heads, but they can provide us notice that a state agency is violating rights and is in need of correction. They can instruct us to take action to rectify the situation with the powers that we have been given by them. And she is so correct. We are the ones that give them powers. They themselves have nothing. Did you know they don't even own anything? All of those things that the buildings they're in, the government buildings they're in, the seats, their computers, all that, they don't own any of those things. They belong to the people. We let them use our things to get our work done for us and for our benefit. That's all our stuff. We go in there as a people, that's our stuff. We're looking, we have a right to get in there and take a look at information that is pertinent to us. All of it belongs to us. And honestly, this FOIA nonsense, you got to go through FOIA. Well, that's when they invent things in legislation, that's for government servants. We have already constitutionally guaranteed right to know what it is they're doing to access their records. They have to be accountable to us. How can they be accountable to us if they do not give us an accounting? And to give us an accounting, we need to look to make sure that they're doing everything according to and in pursuance of our constitutions. They have to stay within the law and not be outside the law. Here's another thing she said that was really nice and very true. The people have a right to constant observance of the law by their magistrates. Remember, they're all our magistrates. They're all public officers. They are all our trustees. They are all our servants. This is just another name, the magistrates. They all have this name, magistrates. But they all have the name trustees. They all have the name servants. And that is a very important word. So, and when constitutional rights are violated, we magistrates have a duty under our oath to assist and make it right. That's right. When you are in, where you are in a court, and the judge says, well, no, I don't have to really protect their rights. No. The judge has a duty and obligation that if she sees that your rights, as one of the people, your rights are being infringed and trespassed, encroached, they have to say something. They have to speak up. They have to not allow it to happen. Or else they're in deep, I don't want to say deep doo-doo, but that's deep doo-doo they're in. They're in deep trouble. They're in deep trouble if they sit quietly and let it happen, because that is a breach of trust. To not protect the people's rights when they see the people and they see that their rights are being encroached, trespassed, infringed, interfered with, they say nothing, do nothing. That is a breach of trust. In maladministration in the least, and quite possibly treason. So, in the right conditions. Here's another thing she said that was really important, that was really good. If we ignore pleas for help and continue to let people's rights be violated, if later they do take it to court and it's found the rights were violated and we knew and did nothing, we were given notice and said, and I quote, I don't have to do what you say, close quote, and didn't give any evidence to that fact. If we can't show that we don't have to, then we become culpable. We violated our oath, and now we're a part of denying the people their rights. We were derelict in our duty, and that is maladministration, and with notice it can rise to the level of malice. We can be held accountable. See what she says? And this is true. They are accountable to the people for their conduct if they misuse the power we granted to them, or if they use and pretend they have authority, which they do not. They go outside the law and do things they are not authorized to do. They're going to be accountable to the people for the harm they do. They're going to be personally accountable for the harms they do. And also, just so you know, we never granted them immunity from harming the people. No. And if we never granted them immunity when they harm the people, then they cannot write legislation giving themselves immunity of harming the people. They're just not to harm the people, period. Just don't do it. Don't even go there. Don't harm the people. Don't infringe, trespass, encroach, interfere, or hide the people's constitutionally guaranteed rights. Now, you can learn more at Real Dave Cares for You. Who is that? Let me tell you. I didn't write it down. Let me tell you. David Jose. Now, who is David Jose? Well, David Jose is a Christian man who loves God so thoroughly. And God blessed him. God blessed him to understand so much. God blessed him to locate important primary sources of truth that we need to have. God blessed him to understand what it was he was reading. God blessed him to translate it for us, like really break it down in a way that we can understand in third grade level. And if we don't understand it, we can ask him questions. And he has made so many videos free. You can find them on Odyssey, Rumble, Telegram, X. It used to be called Twitter. I think they just changed it to X now. All right. So you can find them all over and in other places too, other platforms. He gives you evidence. And one of the things he tells us that when we let you guys know the truth of the highest law, the real law, true law, he insists that we give you evidence of that. Like, that's why I did this. This is why I did, look at, This is real evidence. These are the actual sources. Because this is a constitutional provision. So is this one, constitutional provision, which is a term of the contract they're to comply with. So this is real evidence that you can look up yourself and locate yourself and see. You can verify that it is true. It exists. It is there. It is not made up. It is not wishful thinking, made up hopeful thinking. No, it's fact. It's true. And so that is why I encourage you to reach out and locate his videos, look at his videos, take notes down, everything that you need to correct our governments. When you spot them, when you see that they are outside the law, you can correct them. Let them go back into, if they really didn't know, have mercy and let them go back following the law. If they insist on being little stiff-necked government servants, corrupt in their motherboard, like a robot that's corrupt in its motherboard and its primary functions, and it doesn't follow the inputted information, what it's to follow, the guidelines, right? When they're not guidelines, they are concrete, do this, do that, and don't do this and don't do that. The same way the government servants are to do that. If they insist on doing wrong, then they're going to be accountable. But you need to know when it is, when you see it. You need to know how to identify it, but you won't know if you don't know what's in the contract. So please reach out, and of course he has private membership associations where he teaches deeper into a particular topic, and you get to ask him questions, you get to interact with him, and find out a little bit more if you don't understand something. And then the group also can help you understand things, because there are many members in there who know so much already, who can really help out, because we are there to help each other. And so please reach out and find out and know what your rights are, know what they are to do, so that we can live free, we can live safe, you can be pursuing your happiness with your family, and nobody can take your things without authority of law, because that is what's happening a lot these days. People's properties are being taken without trial by jury, a jury of peers. They're not taken with putting the people through remember this, constitutional due process. They're not being taken using that. They're being taken by using what? Administrative due process. And that is not for the people. That's for government personnel. But since you don't know that, then they go ahead and take your stuff. And they can say, well, I didn't know it either, and that's why I took it. Well, this is why you give them notice, so they can't say they didn't know, because now you pointed out the real law, and now they know. Now they can't say they didn't know. All right, guys, God bless you, God protect you, God bless us, God protect us.